I am Oprah Winfrey, and I welcome you to Tacro Fueled with Sherry Patterson.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Tack Refueled. Been busy over here, man. So, Donate Life Month is next month, and so we're doing a lot of gearing up for that, a whole lot of gearing up for that. Super excited. Um, I definitely have a passion for organ donation, and Donate Life Month is big. Um, Today, however, I want to talk about um it's a common misconception in organ donation. And I want to talk about a lot of the common misconceptions in organ donation, but today I want to focus on um well, I hear that if I'm an organ donor, they won't attempt to save my life or they won't try to save my life. Um or um they won't try to put in their best effort to save me because I'm an organ donor. Um, you know, it's just it's just false. And you can really research this in a lot of different places. The Network of Hope, Donor Alliance, there's so many um different um organizations that you can verify the information. I am not in the medical field. I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not a medical nurse. I am not employed by any medical organizations at all. I have um, had a liver transplant in 2001. So therefore, um, I'm just very passionate about organ donation. I wouldn't be here without it. Someone lost their life and they said yes to organ donation. And because they said yes, I received a life-saving liver. And we're going to talk about that in a few minutes. I really just want to clarify um, that medical professionals prioritize saving lives when sick or injured people arrive at the hospital. They don't consider organ and tissue donation until after declaring death. Uh, Typically, medical professionals are unaware of a person's registered donor status. EMTs, doctors, ER doctors, they don't even know, right? They're not they don't have access to your donor registration information. Um, the people who have that information are your um, OPOs, your organ procurement organizations, such as the Network of Hope, your Donate Life Centers. They have that information. Um, the ER doctors, the EMTs, firefighters, they don't possess that information. Um, it's crucial to understand that the medical practitioners, they've all taken an oath, right? They've taken the Hippocratic oath, and it's extremely serious in the medical community. You can't call and get medical information on anyone. And it may not have been like that back in the 80s, 70s, and 80s, but it sure is like that now. And you can't get information about anyone on anything. And I think that that's a pretty good thing. I don't want anybody knowing a lot about me, right? Um, Medically, right? I mean, I live my life out loud, so everybody knows pretty much everything about me. So, um, however, my medical history is quite long. It's a lot. I went through a transplant, so there's a lot of things on there. Um, but I do want to talk about um, you know, this myth. It contains irony as brain death can be only declared after exhausting all possible measures to sustain life. Um, the Uniform Determination of Death Act, is that right? Uniform Determination of Death Act, that is right, defines brain death as the irreversible cessation of all functions of the brain, right? So your OPOs, your organ procurement organizations, are only called in the event of a cardiac death or a brain death. So you got to be declared brain dead or heart has stopped. And then the OPOs get involved. Um, so honestly, doctors, medical staff, they just don't make a determination, even if they do know. They have taken an oath to save your life, preserve your life, and do every life-saving measure. Honestly, if they didn't, they a lot of all the doctors would lose their licenses if they made a prejudice because somebody was an organ donor. It's just unethical, and um, it's just not the way it works. Um, and again, I'm not a doctor, but I do know that that's how it works. um, and you can check that out. You can check that out anywhere, right? Um, you can go to a plethora of websites. However, make sure the website that you go to is in fact a reputable one. Let's not go over and and type in your symptoms into WebMD and find things. Make sure that um, you find a reputable website, someone who is the website belongs to an organization who knows what they're doing. Um, it, it's super important. We saw just here in the States, just here in the United States, we saw a 7.5% increase in deceased donors last year, from 13,863 to approximately 14,903 in 2022. So we had a 7.5 increase in deceased donors last year. Another name is added to the national transplant waiting list every 9 minutes. Every 9 minutes, someone's added to the list. 16 people on average a day, 16 people on average a day are dying from the lack of available organs for transplant. People are dying, waiting for organs. Mothers, children, babies, fathers, husbands, brothers, sons, daughters. Um, I was one of those. I was one of those on that waiting list. Um, Deceased donors. I was on the deceased donor list actually, and I had a bunch of family and friends apply. We had one match, and that was my stepson, and he went through all of the testing and things, and by the time um, he even finished up, I couldn't use a deceased donor. I needed a whole liver. So that so getting on the living donor list um is pretty crucial if you really want to go for a living. um it's the coolest thing. It's the coolest thing. They take part of someone else's liver and they put it in yours, and yours just takes to it and grows and repairs itself, and their liver grows right back too. I'm amazed. The liver is an amazing organ. It's an amazing organ. um in the United States, 850,000 transplants since 1988. That's really big. That's a lot of transplants. I was on the transplant list for 2.5 years. Um, at my center here, in Cincinnati, University of Cincinnati Medical Center, um, they're just a little less conservative, which I think is just amazing, right? Here in Cincinnati, I was on the wait list 2.5 years. someplace else, north of here. I get registered at University of Cincinnati and I wait 3 days, 3 days for my liver. Now listen, it's important. Don't worry about your MELD score, right? Don't worry about how low your MELD score is. Um, University of Cincinnati can get you a liver. I do not work for the University of Cincinnati. I just know this because it happened to me, and I'm watching it happen a lot. Um, and at the end of this video, you'll see a card and it'll have a QR code in it if you're awaiting a liver. So HIV positive livers, sure, you can be a donor if you're an HIV positive. Yeah, they'll take it and put it into an HIV positive recipient. So recipient's already HIV positive, donor's HIV positive, so they'll put the HIV positive in the HIV liver and the HIV positive donor, donor's life, or in the HIV positive recipient's life saved. I received a hepatitis B positive liver. I have to take medicine for it for the rest of my life. I have to take transplant meds for the rest of my life. Hepatitis B hasn't showed up in my system. You can get a hepatitis C positive liver, save your life, and then cure the hep C. I'm just baffled that hospitals and organizations can't get together, even locally, right? Why are maybe behind the scenes there are, like I said, I'm not working in the medical field, or I'm not a medical professional, but seems like other um, centers, transplant centers, once they decide that this person can't get a transplant from them, right? Hey, how about we refer them to a center that will, right? So instead of saying, yeah, chances are you're not going to get or you're not going to get a transplant here, um, and that's all we can do, right? How about here's a center, you may have to do some traveling, but you can get a liver. The information will be on the card at the end of this video, and it's super important. Um, I think it's an amazing program. I feel it's awesome. It's just awesome because we're saving people's lives here in Cincinnati, guys. We're saving people's lives. We're dealing with the COVID, the Hep B, the Hep C, whatever it is, after our lives saved. I woke up after being in hospice care. I woke up and felt amazing after my transplant. Amazing. And I've had a few little hiccups, but nothing huge. And um, nothing that really rocked my world like the transplant did. I did have a house explosion after my transplant. That's a whole other podcast. We'll deal with that. We'll deal with that whole episode later. Um, I'm passionate about organ donation, passionate about it. Um, it's just something that hits me because it happened to me. I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be here, like I said, because somebody said yes. When there's over 100,000 people waiting in the US for an organ transplant, many never get the call that an organ donor has been found. Many may not get the second chance at life like I did. And every day, yeah, like I said, there's 16, 17, 18. The statistics are between 15 and 18, I believe. People dying every day because there's not enough donors. It can be hard to think about dying when you're put in a situation like I was, where I was dying and I felt my body dying. I felt my body shutting down. My body functions weren't working anymore. My body wasn't working anymore. And I had no choice. I was in hospice care, but to face death and make those final arrangements and talk to my family. And so it's hard to think about death. It's even harder a lot of times, to think about donating your organs and your tissues. Um, one person can save up to 8 lives with organ donation, one person, and up to 75 others with tissue donation. 75, 8 lives, 75 people changed. People who have been in fires, adults, children, kids, valves. They use a valve, some type of valve, I don't remember what it is, and they transplant it into children who need them. Athletes who are tearing ligaments and tendons and such. Um, bone grafts, all those things are made possible by organ donation. Like I said, I was in a fire. I was lucky enough not to have a skin graft. But there was something in the back of me knowing that if I needed one, it there would be a donor there because there was for my liver. Organ donation saves lives. I'm in a group of hundreds of people that have been transplanted just in our community. And it's fulfilling. It's it's me doing what I've been called to do. Um, when you get to the hospital for treatment, the healthcare team is there to save your life, not someone else's. They're there to save your life. You'll get the best care you can possibly get if you're an organ donor. Maybe I won't really be dead when they sign my birth certificate. It's a popular topic. In reality, people don't start to wiggle their toes after a healthcare provider says they're dead. In fact, people who have agreed to organ donation are given more tests to make sure they're dead than those who aren't donating organs. Once they declare you dead, the OPO has to go in and run tests. This is after the family has been notified that their loved one has passed. Because they've taken every avenue possible to save that person's life. Always know that when you lose someone, if they're an organ donor, they live on in other people. My donor lives in me. This liver I wasn't born with, it sustained somebody else's life for a long time. For a short time, actually. I was told that my donor was young. Um, and I don't know anything else, and that's okay. Because that person said yes, or the family said yes, I'm here. My son still has his mother. My grandkids still have their grandmother. My husband still has his wife. My mom still has her daughter. And I can be here for more Christmases and more birthdays and more family outings and more life. If you are on the fence about organ donation, I've had my own family say to me, I'm going out with what I came in with. Okay. Um, I don't know what you're going to do with them, in the urn or in the casket. I don't know what you're going to do with them. That's okay. It's a personal decision. I understand that. Please don't take your organs to heaven. Heaven knows we need them here. You don't need them. Where you're going, you don't need them. I hope this helped a little bit if you're on the fence about making a decision about organ donation. You can go on to donatelife.org. You can say yes at the driver's license when you get your driver's license renewed. You can go to Ohio BMV. You can go to your BMV in your town. I just happen to be in Ohio. You can register to be an organ donor online right now. And I would like to invite you to subscribe to my channel and like it and share it. If you know someone who is going through liver disease, going through any type of organ transplantation, I might be able to help. Thank you for watching, and thank you for those of you who are already registered to be an organ donor. Someone right now is getting a transplant. Right now, someone in our country is getting a life-saving transplant of some kind. On October 31st, 2021, that was my time. That was my call. That was my second chance at life. Actually, probably my third or fourth or fifth. I've tried the death thing a couple times, even after transplant, but it's not for me. It's not for me. Thank you for watching, and I will be having my husband, who is my caregiver, on, and my brother-in-law as well. We're going to talk a lot about caregiving during disease and post-transplant. We're going to be talking about hepatic encephalopathy and the yuckiness that came along with that. April is Donate Life Month, and I know it's still March, but we're getting there quick. And we're going to be really doing some special things for Donate Life Month. Thanks for watching. And please register to be an organ donor. That is all. See you soon.